I did want to talk about this. It's just that I do have another question, but I
Oh,
do find
Jesus.
this compelling. I just want to say that I find it compelling, and I
I feel
think
like this is all a
like,
setup for you to just say something weird. What is it? What
no,
do
no,
you want
no.
to talk about? Yeah. What?
Well, now that you
Yep.
mention it,
Yeah.
since you brought it up, you said a few weeks back, or maybe it was last week, that you wanted to be a resource for us. And so I thought I would come and challenge you on that.
Okay.
I need some help constructing my argument, or just like I need some help saying what I feel inside.
Okay.
And this might be tough for you. Um but
Trigger warning.
so I think that Destiny, what's happening to him,
Mm-hmm.
is really fucked up. And I don't think that anybody is seeing things from his
Telling MrGirl to practice empathy? Shit, now you've gone too far.
perspective enough to actually
Okay.
empathize with him and
You want me to
realize that,
help
like,
you articulate Destiny's perspective?
no, I want you to help me articulate my perspective on Destiny's situation,
But your
and
perspective
just
is
maybe be
that
a little bit more compelling.
okay. I'm ready.
Because, and I mean, maybe I'm alone in this, but I don't think that what he did was that bad.
What do you
I
think he
think that
did? Let's start there.
he shared some intimate videos with a person who was not explicitly, you know, uh, agreed to be involved in seeing them. But that things happen, and we don't.
Let's not talk about what we think about what he did. Let's just nail down what we think he did first. What do you think Destiny
All
did?
right, he shared videos of Pixie without her explicit consent.
Do you think that Destiny believed he had her implicit consent?
Yes, I do, absolutely. I believe that Destiny believed that.
Okay. If he believed that, why did he tell her that he betrayed her trust in the worst way?
Because
Yeah, that's true. That is true. MrGirl does have a point there. Yeah, that's true.
he felt bad, and
Why did
that's
he
what
feel?
you say.
Why did he feel bad?
Because you have a person who you care about, who you've been with.
Don't answer in this format. Just directly answer. Why did Destiny feel bad?
I am
Okay.
directly answering.
Okay.
He's in a situation where
Did Destiny feel that he betrayed her trust in the worst way?
probably not. No.
Okay. So he didn't mean that.
If we're being like,
Please just answer.
the
I'm not
hardest
gonna
interpretation
have
of
this.
it,
If you
no,
can't
he
answer
didn't
these
mean it.
questions, I'm not gonna talk to you about this.
He didn't mean it. No.
Okay. So he was placating her. He did not mean that.
Yes, he was placating. As
Maybe because she trusted him to not share it with people who would post it all over the internet. Yeah, I think so too. I think that's probably why he apologized to her at first. Yeah. PewDiePie wants to see Foodshops in the maid outfit. No, thank you, PewDiePie. I think I'm good. Thank you. All right. Okay, but yeah, I think the reason why Destiny apologized is because he knows he fucked up. All right. And I think he knows that he fucked up specifically on the fact that he didn't check in with her on whether or not he could share her nudes with other people because they were doing it with each other, right? And I think that's probably why. I don't know. It's just my personal opinion. It's fuzzy that Destiny can have implied consent to share privately, but also apologize that he trusted the wrong person with it. Yes, he is pissed with the hacker after all, right?
you do.
Okay.
Well, I'm not sure.
But I mean, this guy's coming in to defend Destiny, like full-throatedly, right? Full-throatedly defend Destiny. So I'd be happy to hear his argument, right? Like this guy's most definitely a DGGer who is coming into the lion's den to debate MrGirl, right? The #1 hater of Destiny, I guess. But yeah.
Sure. If I thought I had someone's consent to share a video and then they found out that I shared it, I would probably say something like, "Oh, I thought that was okay with you," not, "I know I betrayed your
No,
trust." And
that's
wait, let me
not
finish.
fair.
If you interrupt me, I'm not
All
going
right,
to talk
go
about
ahead,
this with you.
go ahead.
If I thought I had someone's consent, I would say, "Oh, I thought you were cool with me sharing this video." I wouldn't say, "I betrayed your."
He's not wrong here either. Yeah. I mean, if you really fucked up in the way that, oh, I thought I had your consent, then you would say like, oh yeah, I'm sorry. I thought I had your I thought I had permission, you know? Sorry, that's just how I run things. I didn't know that you operated differently. My bad. Right? But then I think the way that Destiny put it is like, oh fuck. Okay, yeah, there's no excuse for it. Right?
Trust in the worst way. Do you want $50,000 or whatever? So it's hard for me to agree with you about what happened when the evidence.
Because I think that you can argue that from Destiny's perspective that he thought that he was okay, right? But at the same time, um his apology message right after shows otherwise. If he didn't make that apology message, I would have given Destiny the benefit of the doubt. But I think that apology message changes everything. Um, when I first evaluated the case, and now as well. Um, Again, I think that he is morally wrong. I just don't think that he is legally culpable. And do I think that he has already sufficiently been punished for this moral wrong? More than enough, sure. If he wasn't allowed to share it, why didn't Pixie message say, "Why would you share that? I never gave you the permission to share it." That would be my first message to someone. If he wasn't allowed to share it, why didn't message say, "I never gave you permission to share it"? Not necessarily, but then what would provoke Destiny's message then, right? Because that just sounds like you're kind of ignoring the way that Destiny responded to the situation, right? Like again, I'm biased towards Destiny, I'm pro Destiny, right? But I'm just like trying to view the situation a little bit more objectively here, right?
Evidence suggests that he did not have her implicit consent. Then evidence for him not having her implicit consent are other women saying that he didn't have their consent and that this was all done kind of secretly and covertly. Pixie filing a lawsuit against him. Pixie, I think, and or maybe others, filing criminal complaints against him.
Oh.
Pixie refusing to accept a settlement from him and saying that it would not be painful enough to teach him to never do.
I think Destiny's message was apologizing for who he shared it to, someone who leaked it, not just apologizing for sharing it at all. Do you think that he implied that? I mean, maybe he did, but I don't think the message implied that, right?
Do this again, and Destiny himself saying that he betrayed her trust. So these
Okay,
these all just don't talk. These all
MrGirl slap, yeah. This DGGer decided to come in to debate MrGirl on the Destiny lawsuit.
all read to me as strong evidence that he did not have her implicit consent and he did not think he had her implicit consent. So I think until we can agree on what happened, I probably am not going to be able to help.
Also, for the record, okay, I will say this part. I do think, is the DGGer doing what he's doing? We just started, yeah, so I can't say anything. But, like, I will say, like, it is kind of ironic for MrGirl to, go about blasting Destiny when he's literally bragged about raping somebody during a hookup, no? Like, isn't this what he kind of bragged about? But yeah, I mean, it is kind of ironic and a little bit hypocritical at the very least. It just feels kind of weird. Also, this DGGer might be a troll. I think this person probably baited his way into having a debate with MrGirl. However, I think that his opinions here are genuine, though. I think so. I think the fact that Pixie also sent it to people without Destiny's explicit consent pretty much proves that they had the understanding. The understanding was that they could share it with people they trusted. Like Pixie shared pics and photos, in a way where she did not ask other people for their permission. Is that what you're saying? I mean, if that's true, then yeah, Pixie has no room to complain about it, I guess, because it's hypocritical, right?
You
Yeah, I don't know.
Let's say that he didn't have her implicit consent. I still think that him sharing
MrGirl is definitely worse than somebody. Destiny. I don't think Destiny would rape someone. Um, yeah. Like the way, by the way, what I'm talking about specifically is when MrGirl was talking about a hookup that he had with a woman, where he essentially said, oh, he pushed her down, even though at that moment she didn't feel like she was ready, and he pushed her down anyway, and they finished having sex with one another, and essentially, they then had a second hookup after that, because she liked it or whatever the fuck, right? Where, yeah. I mean, I kind of get what he's talking about. He's talking about like the nuances of sex, where sometimes you can proceed with sex, even though like somebody might not be ready for it. But the way that he phrased the whole situation makes it does actually seem as though he is a rapist. So, like in that specific instance, okay? Which makes me have little sympathy for him when it comes to him criticizing Destiny, I guess. But yeah. Paisley shared the vids she made with Destiny, 3 of them, with her boyfriend, and she never asked Destiny's permission to share it. Is that true? If that's true, then yeah, like she has no room to complain then. But that doesn't, by the way, that still doesn't like forgive Destiny's actions, right? If that makes sense. That doesn't, I don't think that excuses, like, even on his side. It just means that Pixie is a hypocrite and the lawsuit should be moot. But like again, right, we're talking about something specifically from Destiny's end, not whether or not the action is equal.
those videos.
Well,
with
let's. I don't want to know. I don't want to know what. I don't want to hear what you think. I want to nail down for this conversation what the premise is of what happened. Because when you start combining how you feel about what happened with what you think happened, then you start
Okay, let's say for argument's sake,
you start saying things that don't make sense. So
let's say
Well,
for
they either both
argument's
did
sake
something
that
wrong
he
or they had
shared the
understanding and
videos
neither did
without
anything wrong.
explicit or
I think that they probably, if it's the case, according to your information, then in my opinion, they both did something wrong. Okay, right? Like if I am taking the information that you're telling me, I think that they both did something wrong. All right. However, Pixie does not have room to criticize him in that instance then, because she did the same thing that Destiny did, right? But at the same time, we can't really overlook the fact that Destiny still did something bad, right? Like, fuck. Yeah.
implicit consent and in direct violation of her trust in him and that he was betraying it.
stop over explaining things. Did Destiny have her implicit consent? No. Did Destiny think he had her implicit consent? No. If you want to say for the purpose of argumentation or discussion, we're assuming he did not have her consent and he did not think he had her consent.
So you think that when he sent the videos, he knew and
if you can't agree on terms,
her.
if you
Please, do you not believe that implied consent is ever valid? That depends. If you're talking about like implied consent in the sense of like proceeding with different moves in sex and like making out and kissing and foreplay and stuff like that, right? Where there are multiple instances where your partner could have stopped somewhere in the middle or stopped you somewhere in the middle, then yeah, in that instance, I think that's implicit consent, right? Because the explicit consent would be like voicing the consent, right? Or something like that. But you're talking about implicit consent in the sense that because I'm the one sharing nudes, then we're also going to be sharing nudes from the other end or something like that. I don't know about how I feel about that part. Okay, does that make sense? Yeah. So that'd be reason. Yeah.
you can't agree on a premise for this conversation, then we can't have it.
Oh, but
I don't want to. I
I'm
don't want
asking you a
to. I
question.
don't want to argue about this with you. You said for the purpose of argumentation, and then you put forward a premise, but then you just started kind of talking a lot and not
But do
actually
you
settling,
believe that when Destiny
on a
acted,
premise. We have 2 yes or no questions, and you need to decide what the answers are for the purpose of this discussion.
I'm asking you if you believe when
I
he
don't want to
acted,
answer
when
your.
he
I
did the
don't care
thing,
what you're asking me. Yes or no.
how
For
can you
the
say that?
purpose. How can I say I don't care? Because I look in myself, I ask myself, Max, do you care about what Extreme Dad's saying right now? And I think, no, I don't. I
Then
know
how
I
are you
don't care.
being a resource for me, your viewer?
There are terms and conditions for me being a
Wait, is this guy Extreme Dad?
resource. The first term is you have to be able to clearly articulate what the fuck you're talking about. And if you can't do that, then I can't help you.
I'm
So
trying to clearly articulate it, but you keep cutting me off.
you
I think that
said
when Destiny
you
acted,
crossed an irreversible line about 30 seconds ago when you
what
said,
was that?
let's say for the purpose of argumentation, and you're about to lay out a premise. And now you have to say what the premise is. And you have to do so by answering 2 yes or no questions. You ready for the first question?
I'm ready.
Did Destiny have Pixie's consent to share the videos?
No.
Second question. Did Destiny believe he had Pixie's consent to share the videos?
And I mean, that's impossible for me to speculate on, but I
It's
would
not
say
impossible for you to speculate. No, it's not.
I'll
And
say
so,
no just to
no,
further.
you're kneecapping your own ability to think.
Explicit consent. Ask every time they shared the vids. Implied consent. They both knew and understood that they were making them for the purpose of sharing with other private partners. Maybe legally speaking, sure, it's like that, but I'm talking about morally. I don't know if that's okay or not, right? I think morally, you should be asking infrequently, or you're asking every time, right? In my opinion, you're either asking frequently if somebody is like especially like sharing out these kinds of videos because you want to double check and make sure that this person's okay with their videos being shared out. But if you're talking about like just to be safe, then yeah, every time. But like the thing is um yeah, like I don't know, that's just what I think about it, I guess.
Or speak coherently. When you
I
are
don't
not
think
willing,
that
no, when you
Destiny believed.
let me explain how stupid what you just said
Okay.
is. You want to have a
And yes, I am talking about explicit consent. I don't like the word implicit consent in this case all that much. I don't know.
conversation, presumably about the ethics of Destiny's behavior and the response that he's getting and the blowback he's getting and the potential legal consequences and civil consequences and criminal consequences. But you want to have this conversation with the premise that none of us can speculate over Destiny's mind state or whether he actually had her consent or whether he believed he had her consent, even though that is pivotal to any ethical evaluation of his behavior.
Well, no, I want to speculate about it, but you're asking me a yes or a no question, and it's impossible for me to say what Destiny believed at the time, of course. But yes, I want to have a discussion
confused.
about.
Maybe you forgot what we were talking about. You said that you wanted to set a premise for the discussion. So to set a premise, we have to agree on what happened. And part of what happened is whether Destiny believed that he had her consent. So the premise.
If it's a moral question, it can only be explicit consent. Yeah, by the way, one of the best ways you can do to try to answer this question for yourself is by asking yourself, what would you be okay with? I think it really depends on what you would be okay with as well, right? I don't know. Like if you recorded a sexual interaction that you had with somebody else, right? I think most people would say, yeah, I want you to ask me before sharing out my video with another person, right? Like, yeah, because we're gonna imply that you are using the video for your own like masturbatory like things, but I don't think that you're going to actually share it out to another person, right? Like, I don't know. It's just,
of the conversation
yeah, I think
needs
that's
to
typically
decide,
the way
did
that it
Destiny
goes about
believe he
things.
had her implicit consent or not? And if you can't answer
Well,
that
actually,
question, then you can't have the conversation.
my conversation was more about like, but
I don't care. You
separate
crossed.
separate from that.
No.
Just
You
hold on. Let me
crossed.
say one
It's an
thing.
no.
Let
It's
me
an
say one thing.
irreversible step you took. You said,
Mm.
But
okay, let's say for the sake of argument, and when those words left your mouth, you
but you
ended
made the discussion about something that I
you
wasn't even
ended
trying
the
to talk
previous
about.
conversation. I'm not going to engage with
I
you about
wanted to
anything
say
other.
that what happened.
I'm not going to engage with you about anything other than the rest of that sentence. What are we saying for the sake of argument? And if it turns out, as I suspect, that you're not actually willing to set a premise for what happened, then my advice to you is that you need to do some soul searching or something until you're willing to set a framework for how to even
I
think
said I'm
about
willing
this.
to agree to that, but the
No,
thing
no,
is that
I'm not asking you.
Destiny
I'm
had
not
proof
asking
to
if you're
do that.
willing to agree. I'm asking you two yes or no
And what
questions
happened to
that
him
you are
was fucked up
seemingly
too.
incapable of answering. The first, do you
No,
want to try?
you're incapable
Okay,
of answering. You're
I'll
letting your
ask you.
car
I'm going to
reject
ask you again. If you cannot answer in just yes or no, I'm going to end the call. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
For the
Extreme dad is also 50% troll, 50% retard. I think in this instance, he is actually being 100% serious. Because he sounds like he is trying. But who knows at this point, honestly.
purpose of this
Whatever.
discussion, we need to decide on two things as premises. You're not deciding what literally
Hello,
happened,
Joe.
and you're not being asked to mind read anyone or disrespect anyone by presuming to know what they were thinking. The two questions I'm about to ask you are strictly for the purpose of setting up a premise as a jumping off point from which to have the conversation you want to have. And the two questions
I like
are,
this.
okay, the two questions are, did Destiny have Pixie's implicit consent to share their sexual videos?
No,
Did Destiny believe he had Pixie's implicit consent to share their videos?
no.
Okay.
That was a great setup, and I like how you worded that.
Thank you.
And so going forward with that,
Yeah.
Do we believe that he was disregard for her privacy?
You dropped out for a second. Do we believe that he acted with reckless disregard? Is that what you said?
Yeah, reckless disregard for her privacy.
I think, by the way, I think it's reckless disregard, okay? This is why the lawsuit cannot work, all right? Or, sorry, not lawsuit. Forget about the lawsuit, okay? This is why I think making a malice argument cannot work, okay? So, again, all right, my opinion is going to piss off a lot of people because some people think it's malicious and some people think that it was perfectly okay, all right? I think that there's going to be a lot of extreme opinions on this issue. However, what I think is, again, all right, is that I think that he acted with reckless disregard. You can very easily make that argument. Yeah, 100%. Especially knowing that he's a large content creator who is looking forward to leak his DMs, right? So, yeah,
By sharing it with one person in a private conversation, someone he knew and could believe to keep it
But again, I don't think he's like trying to like fucking destroy her life or something, right? Obviously.
confidential between them.
Okay. So now we have some new premises we need to iron out. Some more yes or no questions. Do you believe that this is the only person he shared the video with? Is that the premise?
No.
Okay.
No,
so,
probably not.
Okay. So the premise is this is not one person he shared the video with. He shared the video with multiple people. Second premise, do you consider the allegedly 19-year-old that he was sexting to be someone that he knew? You said he didn't just share it with somebody. He shared it with someone he knew.
The judge felt differently in terms of consent. Yeah, and I would probably, that's fine, right? Because in court, I think what you're trying to prove is malice, right? Right? You're trying to prove malice. So, yeah, I think there's multiple angles that doesn't work when Pixie is trying to go about doing that, right? I don't know. Like in that instance, I kind of get the judge. Yeah. But when we're talking about a moral argument, right? Then yeah, like fuck, there you go. He's probably talking about implied consent in a legal way because he's a judge. Yeah.
So I'm wondering what the threshold for knowing someone is and what the difference is functionally between sending it to this person and sending it to a random person that he
Someone he
doesn't.
knew enough to share his own intimate sexual details, his own private information that would be damaging to him and was
Based
damaging
on
to him.
based on what we have learned about Destiny over the years, do you think Destiny has a high bar for who he is willing to send sexual images to? Or do you think Destiny is a sex addict who compulsively sends sexual images to dozens or hundreds of different women that he does not know very well? Or is there a third option that I haven't thought of?
I think that it's probably somewhere in the middle, and I don't think that there's anything necessarily wrong with that.
I didn't say there was anything wrong with it. We're just
Okay.
evaluating whether saying this is someone he knew makes sense.
I think that this is someone that he had spoken to at length and could reasonably expect to keep his private details private.
Okay, so if you were in Destiny's shoes, you would do the same thing because, there's not that much risk.
Yes, actually. I believe that I probably would have done the same thing, believing that there was not that much risk, and I think that that's a reasonable interpretation.
Okay, and so you think when this stuff leaked, Destiny was like, "What? I never thought that this could leak."
Absolutely, I think that that's what, yeah, 100%. I think that happened,
So he's
and I
shocked.
think that yeah, he was
He's
shocked.
shocked.
For
I
sure.
tell you, shocked that any of this stuff would come out.
And
I don't think there's a difference between implied consent in a legal sense, BS in a moral sense. The definition is the same. That's fine, okay? But in my opinion, like in real life, in a moral sense, the implied consent is not enough, right? When you're sharing out someone's nudes that you have entrusted as a recording, I just don't think implied consent is enough. So no, like I'm afraid we're just gonna disagree on this, I mean, maybe you know a little bit more or something, but like again, it's just like yeah, we're just gonna disagree on this.
embarrassed and upset and violated and dealing with
You know what? Or otherwise, you just come on and talk to me,
a
man.
really difficult situation that was compounded by the fact that he also hurt this person that he cared about and was intimate with and who trusted him and was, suicidal over it. I mean, I don't believe her, but regardless, was indicating that she was severely upset and hurt by this. And so not only is he hurt, she's hurt, and the situation is compounded, and he has this public backlash that was just like, everybody turning on him and just, I think, there was a little bit of a I don't want to say power grab, but a little bit of a vacuum that might be created by his downfall, and people kind of like, you know, maybe desired that a little bit, and so they
Yeah.
used this to kind of, I don't know. I just think that I think that it's often, I actually not even often. I think that everyone really is overlooking the fact that somebody who did not have permission, it's not like he shared these videos with whoever Rose's boyfriend is. Somebody who did not have his permission to view his private messages and videos, including the ones with Pixie, got access to them and tried to uh, hold him hostage, tried to get on stream to embarrass him publicly, like literally was, blackmailing him. And at the very least, withstood that and didn't like make it into a bigger public spectacle by caving and giving this guy what he wanted and causing even further damage to Pixie. You know, at least he had the backbone to stand up to this guy and say, "No, fuck you. If you're going to do it, do it." I don't know how many of us would have had that same level of you know of, of who would have been able to withstand the same pressures. I don't know how many people would have said, no, fuck you, go ahead and release all my shit if you want. I'm not going to give you what you want. I think a lot of people would have caved and would have let the dude on stream, and it would have been an even bigger public spectacle and an even worse problem for both of them. But I think that he has handled this to the best of his ability. And I think that it's an incredibly difficult situation to be in. And as you know, I'm not, me and Destiny are not on great terms. We're not pals or anything like that. I'm not a DG.
Dude, who the fuck are you, dude? Wait, what do you mean? What the? Okay, now he's lost me a little bit, okay? Now he's lost me a little bit. I thought that he was... Dude, Destiny doesn't know who you are, you fucking schizo. Oh my god, who make a lol?
I'm not even, I'm banned. I've been banned from his community, and, he calls me a violent psychopath.
What?
We're not friends. So I'm not saying this as someone
If
who,
Dude, if Destiny is calling you a violent psychopath, it's time to really reevaluate, what you're doing in life, okay? I'm just being honest here, okay?
who, has anything to gain here. But outside looking in, I just think that there's a lot of,
By the way, I just want to say he's defending even harder than DGG, okay? Do you know what a lot of DGG people say? A lot of DGG people say, yeah, Destiny fucked up big here, but we still watch Destiny. That's it. That's all they say. All right? Like it's not like they deny it. It's not like they deny the fact that Destiny fucked up big, right? Yeah. I mean, like, they're anti-Pixie, they're anti-whatever, but they still think that, Destiny fucked up to some degree, absolutely.
people putting a
Of varying
lot
degrees.
of unnecessary burden on him to be the bad guy here, when in reality it's just a shitty situation for everyone involved, and there's nothing to be gained by.
But again, I just want to say, like, this guy's, whatever this guy's opinion is, okay, it's like on the far end of like the most hardcore Destiny defenders, okay? So,
This
yeah.
lawsuit, there's nothing to be gained by, continuing to hurt him, continuing to,
Hey, are you gonna
know,
just talk forever? Is there? It just feels like I asked you
sorry,
if you think
you kept me bottled up for so long that I just, like, I had all this stuff to spew
I
out.
asked you if you thought that it was reasonable for Destiny to believe that this would not leak, and if you think he was shocked that it did. I think that was the last thing I said, and then it's just like, you know, a
Well, you only
mess.
let me
Everything
answer yes or no question.
what you're saying is a mess. So I don't
That's why I'm
understand.
here. I'm here to ask
I don't.
you for help in constructing my argument.
Oh my god, he's not here to ask for constructing an argument. It's very clear he just simply disagrees with MrGirl on this. I don't know why he's trying to, like, frame it as this gay ass, oh, I'm just helping you. I just want to, like, I just want you to help me construct my argument. Blah, blah, blah. Dude, oh my god, dude, get me out.
Okay.
How can I
Ranch.
better empathize with Destiny and convey to people that it was wrong?
Well, it sounds like you're feeling quite empathetic towards Destiny already. So I don't know what you mean. You mean how to get other people to empathize with Destiny?
Yeah, how can I better
This is
get
a
other
troll.
people to?
Bro, this is 100% a troll question, dude. He's trolling right here, okay? 100% he's trolling MrGirl right here. He's like... Oh... Okay, cringe. Cringe.
And the situation.
Well, I think if you're trying to understand how Destiny is internally feeling, I think you might be missing the mark a bit by...
No, I'm not, and I don't need to. I don't think that's necessary. Anyone in that situation, I would agree with. If it was Hitler that this happened to, I would say, wow, that's really fucked up.
I don't know how that's a response to what I just said.
Okay.
I don't need to understand how Destiny's feeling internally.
To empathize with him? Maybe I don't understand what empathize means. And what do you mean by it? Can you rephrase it then?
I don't need to know how what he's thinking, how he's feeling,
Can you tell me what you are trying to accomplish?
When I
Was a young boy, my father took me into the city to see a marching band. Sorry, I'm sorry. Okay, I am brain rot. Okay, I'm
on
sorry.
like
My bad. Okay,
J Stocks or Queenman Stream, and I argue with people, and I say like, hey,
I'm sorry.
Can
maybe
you just answer just this part? What are you trying to accomplish?
I'm trying to convince more people that this is actually a bad thing for everyone involved, and
Was that a song? Yeah, Black Parade.
that Destiny didn't really do anything wrong. I'm trying to convince people Destiny is an innocent angel who did nothing wrong in this particular case.
Doesn't that conflict with the premise that he didn't have her consent and didn't believe he had her consent?
Yes, it does.
Okay. Well, I think that's probably where you need to start. If he violated the sexual consent of multiple other people, how is he an innocent angel?
Because in our society, we are violating each other's.
I don't know why this guy's bothering trying to convince Mr. Girl like it would actually work. I don't think his objective here is to convince Mr. Girl. I think his objective here is to get a debate, whether it is for entertainment or for himself or whatever the fuck. But yeah, I mean, like, I think most people would say that Mr. Girl is unable to be convinced at this point. Like, it's just impossible.
Consent and boundaries, and there's this laissez-faire attitude towards these things all around, and it's not like
It seems
he
like
published
attitudes.
them to the internet. It's not like he was swapping them like a bunch of playboys
My chemical
with
don't
his
think
friends in the
No,
clubhouse.
just that one
I don't
song.
think you're answering my question. You're saying that lots of people are essentially rapists.
Okay, what? I don't think that anything here is tantamount to e-rape.
The question was, how is he an innocent angel if
Angle.
you
Right
believe
angle.
that he knowingly violated the sexual consent of another person?
Well, I was using hyperbole when I said that. I
Okay, this guy is incoherent. Okay, the only question should just be, okay, understanding that he has done wrong, is it okay to feel empathy for Destiny? Is it okay to spend some time to empathize that his nudes also got leaked, or that his friends turned on him or something? I think that is the right question that you should be asking. Okay, like, I don't know why he has to do this roundabout way of this incredibly gay ass shit. Okay, like, this is not productive. It's not doing anything.
what I mean is just that, like, I don't think that he did anything wrong.
You tell me when you have figured out the phrasing that you're ready to defend.
I
And then you tell me what that
believe
is, and then I'll give you my
I believe
counterpoint.
that what he did was understandable given the circumstances. And I think that people are being unfair in their assessment of his guilt. And I want
Okay.
to be
Stop
more.
Please stop rambling. Just one sentence about how wrong what Destiny did is.
I think that given the circumstances, his actions were understandable and okay.
I'm asking you to make a moral evaluation. Did Destiny do something wrong? So it has to be something like Destiny didn't do anything wrong. Destiny did something wrong. Destiny did something a little wrong. It has to be something like that.
I'd probably have to. I'd have to just strong arm it and say no. I don't think that they did, given the circumstances.
Okay, so even though you're
Hey, listen, I'll still be down for debating, okay? All right?
qualifying it by saying
content.
you'd have to strong arm it, are you prepared to defend your stance that Destiny did not do anything wrong?
Yeah, and I think
Okay.
that that's what this is all about.
So again, my
I'm
retort is
back.
the same.
Okay. Where are you going in the
If
first
he
place?
violated the sexual consent of another person, then how is that
Oh
not doing
my
anything
god.
wrong?
Oh.
The only two answers I can think
Yeah.
of are that it's okay when Destiny does it, or it's okay when anybody does it.
It's okay because there's no alternative. It's not like Destiny could
What?
say, "Hey, Pixie, do you mind if I share the video of you
How long has she been watching MrGirl? We're gonna watch MrGirl fucking
and
forever.
I with this girl that this
Okay?
19-year-old Discord kitten?"
He's like
Nobody
my
does
favorite
that.
person.
So there's no reasonable uh, method for him
It's gonna
or
be great.
way
We're
for
gonna have a
him
great
to
time, okay?
qualify or get her
Oops.
consent without sounding like a complete weirdo freak and weirding her out and alienating her. So he has to kind of operate on this loose understanding of what
It sounds like you're about to
may.
violate the premise, because the premise was that he knew he did not have her consent.
By the way, okay, if you're hoping for a MrGirl hate session, I'm sorry, you won't find it here, I think. I honestly think the caller is being pretty cringe, alright? Like this entire like weird shit where he's like, oh, I'm just wanting to construct my argument. I'm not like Disney thinks I'm like bad or whatever, but whatever. Like Disney doesn't even know you, little bro. Listen, okay, all right, I'm pro Destiny, okay, but the thing is that this guy's being cringe, all right.